Welcome to Embroidery Medic, the clinic for unhealthy embroidery designs. This is where digitizers and embroiderers send in their problem files, and I put them under the microscope to diagnose what went wrong and show you exactly how to fix it. After more than 42 years as a digitizer and being trained by Shifley Masters, I've gained the experience and technical foundation to revive even the most troubled designs. So let's get started. Now, Nancy reached out to us because she was having trouble with the design that she was trying to digitize. The background she used within the software is this photograph, and as you can see, it is very, very detailed. And she wants this design to be approximately 4 inches in height. And looking at this and getting all of that detail, all of those little rectangles within the hot air balloon and all of the details within the basket and the ropes and everything else there, this is not a design that I would really take on as a newbie. Even as an experienced digitizer, I'd have to put a lot of thought into this. Now, the first set of photos that I got a chance to look at were a little bit blurry, even with my glasses. And when I looked at this design right here, she mentioned in the email that this was her first attempt. And I could tell that there was a lot of gapping, a lot of push and pull compensation issues. And I can tell right away there's a little bit of issue with puckering there that I can see going on. And that might have a little bit to do with stabilizing and hooping, but even when you got a little bit closer, you could see that there was some gapping and separation. The only way for me to really assess the design is to first look at the actual stitch file. So that's exactly what we did. We called in the stitch file, and I could see that within the stitch file, and I'm just going to grab this artwork here, and I'm going to select the backdrop. Let's move it away from the image. And then let's move everything over so you can see how she really tried to follow the artwork as close as possible. But when I look at this design, I can see that there is, the proper underlay. I can see that she is underlapping and overlapping. And when I did go in and look at this design and I did a redraw, I could actually see that it was digitized pretty well. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, for an attempt to try to create this design and have it actually do all the objects in a logical order, there is, really from one side to the other is how she is, doing this design as it's sewing out. So it sews across this way, then it's doing this piece in here. It really actually is very well done and thought out properly. And there was no unnecessary trims. She is going through and making sure that everything is joining to the next object. So I was actually pretty impressed with how this was done. Even within these objects here, she is, there's one trim going to the bottom part, but she is putting a lot of thought within this design. And when I looked at it actually do a redraw, there was actually very little that I could complain about. I actually thought that for the most part, this was very, very well done. And given the circumstances of the artwork, I really didn't want to go in and start moving around a bunch of nodes or redigitizing it. So the one thing that I have to say right out of the gates is, Nancy, you did a great job on this design. I'm sure there was a lot of time, a lot of hours put into this. But as far as pathing the design correctly and mapping it so that, it kind of had a nice flow of stitches, you did a great job. So 2 thumbs up. So I ran the design on my Tajima Sai, and I have to tell you, I was really impressed with the results. Even though there is a little bit of gapping and separation, I can see the material showing through right through here. I can see some gapping in other areas of the design. This actually was very, very well done. And as much as I look at the front of a design and see how things are lining up, I also look at the back and I feel with my fingers, and I'm feeling for hard stitches. If I feel anything that feels like braille or any hard stitches there, then that is something that I don't want to have in a design, because you can feel it actually if it's on a garment. But you also don't want to have a bulletproof design that breaks threads or causes your machine to be down. And you can hear your machine making different sounds when it actually gets to really, dense areas that have many layers built up. So everything was done very, very well within this design. with exception of that registration issue. So again, rather than go in and re-digitize it and try to make it a little bit better, I had a little trick up my sleeve that actually I thought would, fix this entire situation. So here is the solution. What I did was I created what I like to call global underlay, and it is this object right here. I just digitized one shape, and that's it. And I'm just going to move this off. Actually, if I move it to the front of the design, we'll be able to see kind of what I did here. But this is being done as the first color. I moved it to the top, but it is a global underlay that's actually being digitized first, and it's being sewn down as a base. And I have a color change there. It's black, but the idea is I would run this first color, which is about 2,223 stitches. I would run this the exact same color as the garment. So if it's an orange garment, I run orange first. If it's a black garment, I'd run black first. But this underlay that I can see here, that would be tucked down into the very first object of the design so that it has a foundation to sit on. Now I'm just going to move this over here, and I'm going to move everything over a little bit, and I'm going to quickly show you how I created that, because I'm going to take this right now, and let's just take this and bring it back to original artwork so I can turn this back into artwork pieces. And what I did is I just created one of these objects, and then I duplicated it. So there's no use in doing it twice. I just had to do it once. And when I actually created this, I took this object here and I did it as a regular fill stitch. So I just converted it to a fill. I took my inclination and I made sure that I had a 135-degree angle on there. And it doesn't really matter where I start and stop at this point because I can adjust my start and stops. But for argument's sake, I'll just start on that side and I'll finish over here on this side, hit enter and enter. And I can see that I have a really full fill. Now within this object here, I'm going to now take the second one and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn that one into a fill stitch. So I'm going to do a fill stitch again, but this time I'm going to go the opposite direction. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to do a 45. So I have a 135 and a 45 that's being laid down. I'm going to start over here and I'm going to stop over on the other side so that I have no, unnecessary trims or jumps in there. And what I've done is I've created two opposing fills, but this fill right now has a huge amount of stitches. I mean, there's 13,000 stitches within these two fills. That is pretty much the entire size of the original design. That's the stitch count of the original design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my properties, and within my properties, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, I want to do a travel on edge for both of those. And then I'm going to take that travel on edge and I'm going to extend that to 2 millimeters because I don't need 1.2 millimeters. I'm going to do 2 millimeters, and that is it. That's all I had to do. It gave me a foundation. It joined closest point, and it just sews that down as the first object, and then it gives me the desired results. And I wanted to run both of these and see exactly what happened, a comparison of the two on one hoop, so I could see it sew out on the same material, the same colors, the same tension, the same hooping, the same stabilizer, a real fair comparison. And I wanted to see the visual results with when it got to this color here, where it does that 2 millimeter global underlay that gives me a 135 and a 45. It's very important that I have that 135 and 45 because you have to remember that fabrics are milled. If this is going on a t-shirt, a golf shirt, a sweatshirt, anything that's a milled fabric, you generally have the milling going vertically so that there's more stretch in the actual garment going this way. So I don't want to use a 90 and 180 because I don't want stitches sinking into the way the fabric was milled. So having those two opposing stitch angles really does give me the security, the foundation that I want when it actually sews out the design. Now, as you can see, the results speak for themselves. That global underlay provided a foundation that allowed the entire design to sit much flatter. It just looks better than the first one, and there is absolutely no gapping within the design. I didn't change anything from the original file. All I did was add that little bit of global underlay there so that we had a foundation to sit on. Now, if today's diagnosis helped, imagine what understanding the fundamentals could do for your embroidery. Our free 101 series walks you step by step through the core principles every embroiderer and digitizer should know. It's completely free, and it's the best place to build real confidence. This has been Embroidery Medic. Until next time, keep your designs healthy and your stitches precise.